Chapter 34. Act 1.
"This is total crap,"
Lucian grumbled, hurling his stone across the water. It skipped 5 times before sinking into the pond. Not bad. I scoured the pond's narrow bank for my own stone to skip. This pond was my favorite place in the whole kingdom. It was a peaceful, secluded place tucked into the far corner of the palace gardens. The pond was surrounded by tall willow trees and bushy flowering shrubs. If you didn't know it was there, you would probably miss it. That's why I loved it so much. The pond was my own private, secret sanctuary, or at least it had been until the fateful day my parents had welcomed Jadith, Marcus, and Lucian into our home. I'd been 8 at the time, and I had not been happy to get more siblings. A younger brother to boss around? Sure, that would have been great. But 3 older siblings? No way! Okay, so technically Marcus was only 2 months older than me, but that meant he could claim to be 8 and a half, while I was still only 8 1/3. It wasn't fair. I went to my secret pond to mope. I pushed through the weeping willow branches and froze in shock. One of the new kids, the shaggy blonde one, was sitting on my favorite rock in my secret place. The new kid was staring into the pond, tossing a stone back and forth between his hands. I marched into the clearing. He turned at the intrusion. "This is my spot," I informed him, crossing my arms in defiance. He blinked.
"I don't see your name on it anywhere."
I scowled at him. "You're already stealing my family. You don't have to steal my pond, too." His eyebrows rose so high they disappeared beneath his shaggy bangs.
"Sounds like you need to learn how to share, princess."
"Don't call me that. I'm not a princess," I huffed.
"Why not?"
He stood to face me. He was a good head taller than me, and I didn't appreciate him flaunting it.
"You live in a palace, don't you? I think you'd make a great princess."
I started to smile, but then he added,
"You're sure bossy enough to be one."
I stuck out my tongue at him. "I told Mom I wanted a little brother," I complained, "but I got you instead."
"And I wanted to skip stones in peace," he countered, "but I got a bossy princess instead."
"You can skip stones?" Excitement replaced my annoyance. I'd always wanted to do that. "Can you teach me?" My sudden mood shift caused a bemused smile to cross his face.
"If I teach you, will you stop telling me this is your spot?"
I chewed my lip in consideration. "Fine," I conceded. "If you teach me how to skip stones, you can have this spot too." From then on, the skipping pond had been our spot. Lucian and I met there often to discuss life goals or plan pranks on Enish's friends or complain about petty teenage injustices. When he was particularly frustrated, Lucian still skipped stones. He was skipping a lot of stones today.
"We've been following their rules and proving ourselves to them for the past 10 years, he griped. "How is that not good enough to earn our inheritance already?"
"It's not that they don't think we're good enough," I countered. "They just want us to have the same growth experience as they did." He turned to me.
"But why are they offering the test to everyone? Shouldn't we get preferential treatment? They raised us as their chosen heirs, and for what? To wipe our memories and throw us into the ring with the unproven masses? Why bother taking us in at all?"
I reached down to pick up a stone. It looked promisingly smooth from the top, but the bottom was all jagged and misshapen. I let it drop back onto the dirt. "So a happy childhood and 10 years of parental wisdom doesn't count as preferential treatment for you?" Lucian rolled his eyes at me and launched another stone across the pond with an angry force.
"Not when all memory of those 10 years is stolen. Don't you feel entitled to something more than this free-for-all inheritance test?"
"I don't know." I shrugged. "I was only 3 years old when they pulled me from the... what did you call it again? Oh, yes, the unproven masses. Sure, I've tried my best to be a good daughter, but who's to say someone else wouldn't make a better leader and heir?" I could think of multiple girls in my class who were nicer and more selfless than me. I wondered if they would choose to take the test. The thought of them being better than me at mortality bothered me more than I cared to admit. I pushed the thought away and continued my search for a decent skipping stone. I picked up a smooth marbled stone. It wasn't particularly flat, but after 10 years of skipping stones here with Lucian, the options were pretty limited.
"You sell yourself short," Lucian said. "I wouldn't spend time with you if you weren't the best."
He smiled at me, obviously considering his words a compliment. I returned the smile, but it felt forced and slid from my lips the moment he turned away.
"Also, what's so great about carbon-based bodies?"
he asked. He hurled another stone, which only skipped twice before disappearing beneath a lily pad. "They're great because they enhance all of our senses as well as our emotions," I recited. I didn't fully understand what that meant, but it made for a nice soundbite. I tried to imagine what it would be like to have a mortal body. Would I be able to see more colors, taste more flavors, feel more pleasures? Those were strange concepts to wrap my head around, but I was excited to try. And then there was that other thing, romantic love. It was here at this pond where Lucian and I had tried our first and only kiss. Kissing was a mystery to us. We'd seen our parents kissing. We'd also seen kissing in the old movies they'd shown us from their stint in mortality. Those movies always made kissing seem like a grand, magical moment with soaring music, flying sparks, and glowing faces. It looked pretty darn amazing. So, when I was 13 and Lucian was 15, we decided to give kissing a try. I'd insisted we set the mood. We found a fancy picnic basket and filled it with our favorite foods. Then we spread out a soft blanket at the pond's edge and turned on old-timey romantic music. That picnic had been the most awkward meal of my existence. Lucian and I normally had such easy chemistry, but with the impending kiss looming over us, it was suddenly impossible to find anything to talk about. Fortunately, we'd only brought about 5 minutes' worth of snacks. When we finished the final pastry, Lucian turned to me and asked,
"So, you ready?"
"Yeah, I guess so." I brushed pastry crumbs off the corner of my mouth. We smiled shyly at each other for another awkward minute.
"We're supposed to close our eyes, right?"
Lucian asked, breaking the silence. "That's how they do it in the movies." I shrugged. Lucian's brows pulled together in consideration.
"But how do we find each other's face if our eyes are closed?"
"I think you're supposed to put your hand behind my head and pull me in."
"Like this?"
he teased, playfully pushing on the top of my head so my face tilted downward. "No?" I laughed, looking up into his sparkling blue eyes. "Like this." I placed my hand on the nape of his neck and pulled him toward me until our lips met. And then, nothing happened. There was no soaring soundtrack or burst of magical sparks. We were just two teenage spirits mashing our faces together. Time slowed in the worst way possible. How long were you supposed to hold a kiss? It wasn't like we needed to breathe or anything. That was a mortality thing. We could wait. Maybe kiss magic took a minute or two to kick in. Any time now. Was Lucian enjoying this? I opened my eyes to see him staring back at me. He bounced his eyebrows up and down comedically, and I broke off the kiss with a snort.
"So, princess, what did you feel?"
He simpered in a ridiculously exaggerated tone. "Your lower lip is a lot thicker than your upper lip," I informed him. "It's kind of weird."
"And you taste like a nasty combination of garlic curry and apple puff," he retorted.
We looked at each other, then burst out laughing. We agreed that kissing was stupid and resolved to never do it again. But now, as I watched Lucian pick up another stone, I wondered what kissing him would feel like in mortality. Was the magic in the hormones? Could kissing actually be pleasurable?
"I still don't think it's worth dealing with a memory veil and the potential failure,"
Lucian said, pulling me out of my embarrassing thoughts. I rubbed my clunky stone around my palm. "Isn't that why you volunteered as gatekeeper? To eliminate any chance of failure?
The best way to eliminate any chance of failure is to bypass the test altogether.
He chucked his stone artlessly into the water.
We're good enough as we are. Why can't they just give us our inheritance now without this overly dramatic trial of mortality?
I don't know, I teased, tossing my misshapen stone up and down in my hand. That last skip was pretty weak. If you had a big, strong physical body, you might be able to pull off 3 whole skips. With a powerful flick of my wrist, I launched my potato-shaped stone across the pond. It only bounced once before disappearing with a sad little ploop. Lucian smirked.
Looks like you need more help than I do.